Welcome to the U.S. latest news channel. Watch the video to the end to find out the current and breaking news about the Russian war in Ukraine. The Ukrainian Security Service announced that a Ukrainian man in the city of Balaklia, who identified himself as the chief of the city soldiers stationed in the city and was found to be cooperating with Russia, was captured while attempting to escape. The Security Service of Ukraine announced that Ukrainian soldiers detained a 48-year-old Ukrainian man in the city of Balaklia, who was found to be cooperating with the commanders of Russian soldiers. The published report revealed that the captured man introduced himself as the chief of the soldiers formed by the people of the city of Balaklia. April-September 48-year-old man, whose name was not disclosed by the Ukrainian Security Service, was brought to court to be tried for crimes such as hiring people to work in companies located in the city despite not having the authority, trying to manage the official activities of the city despite not having the authority, and conducting joint patrols with Russian soldiers near the infrastructure facilities of the city of Balaklia. According to the statement of the Ukrainian Security Service, the captured 48-year-old man fled to the city of Kupiansk, which is under the occupation of Russian soldiers, and the 48-year-old man was captured by the Ukrainian Security Service after the Ukrainian soldiers recaptured the city of Kupiansk. The Ukrainian Security Service said the detained 48-year-old Ukrainian man faces at least 15 years in prison for the crimes for which he was tried. September 8, the city of Balaklia, Kharkiv region, as a result of the attack of Ukrainian troops, which began at the beginning of September, had been the first city recaptured from the hands of the occupying Russian soldiers. After the city of Balaklia, located southeast of Kharkiv, Ukraine, was taken from the hands of Russian soldiers, the Ukrainian people showered congratulations on their soldiers on social platforms such as Instagram, Twitter. Ukrainian people gathered in the city of Balaklia to thank Ukrainian soldiers in the city center after Ukrainian soldiers retook the city. The videos and visuals taken at the reception, which also included Ukrainian journalists, touched everyone. Ukrainian President Zelensky, on the other hand, sang the national anthem on Wednesday and visited the cities taken from the occupying Russian soldiers. The Ukrainian Security Service announced that on Friday the city of Kherson, occupied by Russian soldiers, was hit at least 5 times by HIMARS sent by the United States to Ukrainian law enforcement agencies, and the occupying Russian soldiers were shot at a building in the city where they were meeting. Russian state media Novosti said in a video shared by them that the city of Kherson was hit by them and that the statements made by the Ukrainian Security Service were not true. The city of Kherson has been under the rule of the occupying Russian soldiers since March, and Ukrainian soldiers have been intensively attacking to retake the city of Kherson, a city where the Ukrainian people live intensively, and Ukrainian soldiers have already achieved victory in their attacks in one of the regions located in the north of the country. Hearing the news, the people of the region are waiting with hope for when the Ukrainian soldiers will arrive in the city of Kherson. The Ukrainian city of Kherson is currently ruled by Russia. Ekaterina Gubareva, who was commissioned by Putin, said that the attacks on the city were an act of terrorism. No matter how much the people of the city resist the government, the aggressive attitude of the Russian soldiers towards the residents continues. The officials who govern the city of Kherson and were appointed by Putin said in a statement that the attacks by Ukrainian soldiers were an act of terrorism and harmed the Ukrainian people. The Ukrainian troops, on the other hand, demanded that the people trust the Ukrainian soldiers that they will continue the HIMARS attacks on the city of Kherson, that they will do everything they can to take the city and save the glorious Ukrainian people. The officials of the city of Kherson appointed by Putin claimed that civilians were killed in the attacks of Ukrainian soldiers, that the Ukrainian army consisted of mercenaries, and even that the Ukrainian army hired mercenaries because it did not have its own soldiers. The Ukrainian Security Service, on the other hand, rejected this statement. The Ukrainian army has been making intensive attacks on the city of Kherson for about a month and has given almost all its intensity to the capture of this city. These efforts of the Ukrainian soldiers are also very successful by the public. The Security Service of Ukraine and the Ukrainian army made a joint statement that the surroundings of the Kherson region were captured and that the Ukrainian army was intensively attacking the city of Kherson, doing its best to take the city, and asked the Ukrainian people to believe in the Ukrainian army and the power of Ukraine. In the city of Kherson, the authorities instructed by Putin announced that the city of Kherson will hold a referendum on joining Russia. The people, on the other hand, began to protest against this referendum. Russian soldiers, on the other hand, continue to intervene harshly against protesters and violate human rights. In a recent statement, the authorities said that the people of Kherson should remain calm and that the referendum will be concluded in a democratic way. Vladimir Putin said in a statement that the invasion of Ukraine by Russia is embarrassing for U.S. intelligence officials, saying that U.S. officials will not be able to do anything in the face of the power of the Russian military. U.S. officials, on the other hand, said after the statements made by Vladimir Putin that this crime against humanity committed by Russian President Vladimir Putin will have a price for Russia and that it will not be able to stand up to the United States and NATO. The officials who made threats to Vladimir Putin said that Putin's life was in danger and that as a result of this war, he would never be victorious over the Ukrainian army. The people of Russia continue to protest that the war should end now and that Putin is now leading to disaster. As a result of Ukraine's long-standing resistance to Russia's attacks, a possible Ukrainian victory could lead to Russian President Vladimir Putin resigning from the post of head of state. The Russian people continue to put intense pressure on President Vladimir Putin to end the war. It has been said by U.S. officials that in the polls conducted among the Russian people, Vladimir Putin no longer has voters who will win a possible election, and the Russian people are angry with Vladimir Putin. At the same time, U.S. officials expressed that Vladimir Putin would be tried for war crimes committed in Ukrainian cities and said that the Ukrainian people should resist a little more. Apart from U.S. officials, a senior official in the Pentagon and militarily in the United States believes that the Ukrainian army will win victory as a result of this war. He also said that the reason for this is that the Russian army is now weakened and losing strength. A U.S. State Department official said that Vladimir Putin has led the people of Russia into a catastrophe, saying that Russia has committed crimes against humanity and war crimes in Ukraine, that the people of Russia are overwhelmed by rising inflation and embargoes, and that they are protesting against Vladimir Putin. Is Vladimir Putin preparing his own end? What do you think? The Security Service of Ukraine has confirmed that the Ukrainian ground forces, which are subordinate to the Ukrainian army, have launched a major operation around the city of Kharkiv, the second largest city in the country. The invading Russian army, on the other hand, suffered a major defeat in the face of this major operation. According to information from the city of Kharkiv, some villages and areas around the city of Kharkiv have fallen into the hands of the Ukrainian army on the second day of the operation. In the city of Kharkiv, Russian officials authorized by Putin and governing the city said that the Ukrainian army committed terrorist crimes, pointed weapons at its own people, and tried to blame these crimes on the Russian army. In the continuation of the statement, he said that Russia has not committed any terrorist crimes against the Ukrainian people and is trying to approach the Ukrainian people with tolerance, and the Ukrainian people living in the city of Kharkiv should trust themselves. On Monday last week, Haidai, a well-established figure in the Ukrainian media, confirmed that the Ukrainian flag was flying in a village east of the Oskil River, located north of the Donbass city, and Ukrainian army forces launched an intensive offensive in the region. The Russian army, on the other hand, continues to suffer defeats in the face of these attacks. The Donbass city was captured by the Russian army last July. The Ukrainian army has been carrying out intensive attacks on the Donbass city, which has been under the control of the Russian army since July. One of the senior officials in the Russian army consists of behind the attacks. In an interview with reporters in the city of Ukrainian army is using heavy weapons in the attack in the U.S., and their people hurt people with their own HIMARS systems such as that led to the death, explained. Although Russian army soldiers located west of the city of Kherson suffered heavy losses as a result of intense artillery fire and missile attacks by the Ukrainian army, Russian officials said that the reports that the Russian army did not suffer losses were unfounded. The U.S., in statements made at the Pentagon, a senior retired non-commissioned officer said that it is possible for Ukraine to emerge victorious from this war and that this will happen as soon as possible. In the continuation of the statement, he stated that the Russian army is now tired and cannot handle the severe conditions imposed by the war conditions. The Ukrainian Victims of War Foundation has been active since the beginning of the war, in particular Headhunted.ru, Avito.ru, and Superjob.ru. He said that more than 50,000 Russians have been deployed to Ukraine after being recruited through it. He took the figure, analyzing vacancy opinions, applications, and job offers. He is concerned that the Russian government, facing a manpower crisis following Ukraine's gains in the counteroffensive, will seek to nationalize online services that would have tens of millions of viewers to support the war effort. If they do this, they can be used to increase and accelerate recruitment, he said, and they are trying to monopolize this industry.